Hi, I'm Brent. This is Bloody Nose Garage. This YouTube video is going to be of a Media Blast cabinet I picked up at Harbor Freight. I knew it was going to be a POS, but it was going to be a good base for a bunch of modifications I knew I was going to do to it. I tape recorded everything, and yeah, I pretty much started from ground up. Everything's different. There's so many pieces I didn't use. All the tubing, the hoses, and the light, the gun, the sealant, and the siphon hose. Pretty much, it's just the bare metal. I did use the top, but I did modification that a little bit. Anyway, I made a video of all the trials and tribulations, and I bloodied my nose quite a bit. And I ended up with a pretty good product. I'm really happy with it. There'll be 3 or 4 videos because it's going to get too long. I don't want to bore you. But if there's anything that'll tickle your fancy, you can subscribe and you can watch them. I made a media cabinet to do some parts for my 59 Apache with Troy Naiman at Maven Motorsports down in the Wapsie River Valley. He's going to lay the frame and LS the motor and give me a 5-speed. So I'm going to powder coat some parts, make it look really cherry. I've already done some side hustle jobs for a coworker. My normal job's top secret at a facility I can't talk about. Anyway, my coworker Eric, he's building an airplane, and he's a stunt pilot. So when I bought the cabinet, I knew it was not going to fit the rims, which are 20-inch diameter and 12-inch wide for the Beast. I mean, this is the factory door that it comes with, and they would never fit through that. So I knew I was going to raise the cabinet, keep the width, because that was going to be acceptable. That was a major modification I did. I just needed more space, and I really like how it turned out. Overall, besides increasing the capacity of the cabinet, the best modification was getting rid of the gasket material. That was garbage. I stripped all that out, and I used some gutter seam sealant caulk. Pretty much made it waterproof. I think it could serve as an aquarium if I ever got tired of blast and stuff. Starting at the top, I'll show you how to use rib nuts. And I put rib nuts in to hold the glass down, so it's easy to exchange if you ever get a bunch of scuffs or you can't see through it anymore. And the front, I flipped that around because I wanted to be able to grab parts from the bottom while I was increasing the depth so much that I wouldn't be able to reach with the gloves that the factory comes with. I can just reach everything that sits on the bottom. If I had small parts, I'd probably have to prop them up with some type of stand. But I just wanted to put the gloves in more of a central location, so it looks a little weird. Stickers upside down, it doesn't matter. I made the door and the extension all out of edge glued pine. I want it to be solid wood, not plywood. I'd just be a little more sturdy, maybe easier to work with if I'm using lags and stuff. I used plenty of these hold downs I got off Amazon. I wanted that door to seal tight. I didn't want any gaps or any dust. I mean, I'm already pulling a vacuum on the whole thing, so it probably wouldn't leak. But overall, I'm super happy with the door. It was, it was easy to make. I'll show you how to do that. But I'm gonna move the camera, and I'll show you the left side. Modifications I did to that. On the left hand side is all the exhaust. I got the shop vac hooked up. I found these barrels on Facebook Marketplace. They're actually giant pill bottles. They were full of metformin at one time for the sugar diabetes people. Anyway, I used that. I made a cyclone, kind of helps separate the dust, the media, from before it gets into the shop vac and plugs in the filter. Then I got this manifold off Amazon, so you can either do shop air off or I can do media gun, so I can kind of control. I didn't use a foot feet. I wanted to building this. I wanted to eliminate all restrictions. I could not find a foot feet that did not restrict down to 1/4 inch fittings. So everything's 1/2 inch going in and out of this manifold, and it's really not that big a deal to turn on and off with your hand. I mean, your one hand's in the glove and one hand's running the controls. So I find that's not confusing at all. I marked everything, so that really worked out good, and it separates really well. So I'm happy. Right now the lights look a little janky. I haven't routed them yet, but the LED lights are really bright. I'm really happy with how it turned out. With the shop back on, it's keeping the air clean, and you can see everything that you're blasting. So no complaints there. As far as down below, I changed everything on the bottom side. I got rid of the trap door. It just looked like a leaky mess I was never going to be happy with. So I got rid of that. I did a little metal forming, and I made this. It's similar to everything else you'll see on YouTube. I didn't really change anything, but I didn't see anybody that used a valve on the bottom. It was just, instead of taking a cap off, or it's going to be easy to drain the media if it gets old, or if I just want to change out different products. But really happy with that. The air inlet valve, I went everything with 1/2 inch Flexilla hose, because it's really easy to work with, and it bends really nice inside the cabinet. I'm not fighting anything. So overall, I would say the cabinet turned out great. I'm going to use it for a few more parts in the truck. So overall, it was a fun project. I'm going to post everything. There'll be 3 or 4 videos. You can learn how to build this. If you got any questions, leave a comment. And once again, on my 59 Apache, if you want to name my truck, leave a comment of the name, and if I like it, I'll send you a hat. So, all right, take care.
So right off the top, I want to apologize for making an unboxing video. I normally don't watch them, and I don't find them entertaining at all. But the instructions on this Harbor Freight Media Blast cabinet really lacked, for a better term. And I thought, well, I'll put it together at least. My whole intention was to put this thing together, then take it apart and redo what I didn't like. But when I got into it, it was just it's a POS, so I kind of gave up on that and just started modifying it. You can just skip right to the 18-minute mark, and that's when I really start doing the magic and sweetening the berry. So this is about right in my head where I thought, screw this thing. I'm going to take it back all apart because I'm missing gaskets. I just need to grind this crap off and start over and figure out what I'm going to use to seal it. So I got out my grinder and a wire brush, cup wheel, and I just started going to town like it's nobody's business. So I went to the store and I found some gutter and seam sealant. It seemed like the best stuff I could find that was thick, metal to metal contact, and it's made for exterior, so I figured it'd be a good option for this cabinet. I started putting the funnel together for the bottom, and I was a little worried about how it was setting up, but I hit it with mineral spirits and just took the excess right off. I was happy after I started scrubbing a little bit. Once again, the instructions were pretty much nothing to look at, so kind of fumbling around trying to figure it out, bloodied my nose a little bit. The nuts and bolts that were supplied were adequate. I used up almost everything it came with, and I had no complaints there. So I'm sure if a man or a woman were putting this together with a standard gaskets, assembly'd go pretty quick. Using the caulk slowed me down a little bit, but I wanted a better product in the end, and I figured it's worth it. I didn't want a big mess in my shop. Well, maybe you find it fascinating watching a bald guy scrubbing his caulk, but you can fast forward to minute 19, and I'll show you how I modified the trap door. So here I got the funnel completely assembled. It turned out really nice. Next I wanted to work on this bottom door, so I pulled out my adjustable wrenches, which are specifically for bending metal just like this. There's no other use for them. Anyway, yeah, I was fumbling around trying to figure out the best way to bend these tabs flat because I knew I wanted to sandwich them with a wall flange, 3/4 inch NPT. I probably should have sped up the speed on this video, but I thought it was kind of critical if anybody actually wanted to do this, figure out how I did it eventually. Look like I do not look like a journeyman skilled trades right now, that's for sure. But yeah. Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe I get paid a handsome wage at my day job. It's a far cry from when I was in my late teens collecting boar semen. True, true story. Maybe I'll make a video. I don't know. We'll see. Not quite sure about YouTube's rules and regulations, but it's definitely a far cry from animal cruelty. Well, here I'm finally happy with my flattened bottom. So I'm going to figure out how the best way to... But before I attach that wall flange, I'm going to completely assemble the air metering valve. So it'll just go on in one unit. Here I purchased all this. They're all 3/4 inch NPT. I got a PVC ball valve there, and it's just all local materials. It's similar to everything else you'll see online on YouTube. Other guys have built. One thing I did do, I put a cross in there. You'll see I was thinking maybe I'd experiment with injecting shop air to help push the media. I haven't tried that yet, and I don't know if I really have a need. I just was going to mess around with it. I'm using the ball valve. I figured it'd be easier to drain the media. I haven't seen anybody else use that. They're all using a cap that you twist off. It just seems something simple to do. You may be able to see on that 4 to 6 inch nipple there, I drilled and tapped to add my air inlet valve. I wanted to reduce the amount of parts on this thing, make it more efficient. So it took a little drilling and tapping, but it made a nice clean part. So I'm just using tape. I'm not using anything sticky. I'm not worried about pressure on this thing. It's strictly to keep the media from leaking out, so nothing too crazy. Just like everything else this cabinet, I'm going to end up putting a 1/2 inch hose barb, which is going to be attached to my Flexzilla 1/2 inch ID hose that's going to go directly to the gun without any restrictions. So here, if you're wondering how I'm keeping my bolts from the bottom erect, I taped them from the inside so they'll aid in my assembly of this part. And here I'm going to apply a liberal amount of gutter and seam sealant so it will be waterproof. So here I'm going to tighten everything down, and I'm looking at the clock and it's like 26 minutes. I think I better call it quits on this one. So yeah, you can subscribe. You can watch part 2, part 3, whatever it's going to take, but I'm going to show every inch of this cabinet. That way, if anybody's interested, they can build it on their own. So peace out, and I love you too.